Hmm. Hello, everyone. I'm live here in beautiful New Zealand on the Bay of Islands. Gorgeous place. I'm going to do a live with my dear brother Jason, discussing male neediness. The part that men often aren't willing to admit the things we actually need. The things that we say that we don't need, but in many ways that we do. I'll be bringing him on here shortly. Hello, Jason. Adding, connecting. So really this is it's a discussion as well. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have concerns, you can feel free to post them
Hey, Aaron.
in the areas. Hey, brother. How are
All right.
you?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. I was trying to use my microphone because
Great.
it's a bit windy here. So,
Okay.
how is that? Is it a bit too windy?
No, I can hear you fine. Yeah,
Great.
it's good.
I'm by the ocean, so I've got a bit of ocean
Welcome.
background sound as well.
Yeah, I get some as well. Two ocean beings.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Really nice.
So part of the reason I'm bringing Jason on this call as well is he and I are hosting a journey for men in Perth in December, and we'll be discussing more of that towards the end of the call, and I'll put it in the comments. But really, I wanted to dive into this just because yesterday I was having a few conversations with a couple of dear brothers. I won't bring in their names, but it was reminding me of a journey that I was on about a year ago, and that was with a dear lover at the time. And a lot of it was in this unconscious neediness from me of needing to have affection and needing to have her touch and her space. And in that situation, I was so not willing to admit the part of me that was like, I don't need anything. Like, I was just very like, fighting it. And the more I actually like surrendered into the feminine side that wanted touch and wanted compassion and wanted that, and wasn't trying to just plow my way through the situation, I gave myself permission to feel emotions to the situation. There was a lot more spaciousness that I received. And in speaking with these two brothers yesterday, both of them, I could feel trying to hold on to this kind of romantic dream, but not recognizing that what was underneath it was this part inside of them that was really needing that relationship because their own union inside wasn't strong. And I know you've navigated a bit of this here as well, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts or what's kind of alive on that subject for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting that we bring up this topic because it is something that I've been contemplating a bit in the last week or so. Because where I am right now, I'm fairly isolated from most of society. So there isn't a lot of opportunity to receive that touch or that connection. And I've witnessed that longing within myself to have that, and kind of almost looking for it anywhere, even if it doesn't really feel resonant. Like, I can feel part of me jumping out going, that could be good enough, or that could be good enough, kind of thing, because it's just wanting something, there is that element. And so yeah, it's definitely a good topic to be bringing up and talking about right now, because it's, there is part of me, without any doubt, that does love touch. I'm a very kinesthetic person, and when I'm in relating with someone, I like that tactile aspect of it, and I like to have that nurturing aspect. So it's not about denying that part that I do love, but it's the thing of, am I trying to feel something, or am I just aware of what I like in the world, right? And finding that balance.
Yeah, it is that balance for sure. And it's a space, and it's about touch, and it's also just about the unconscious areas that play out when it comes to the space of relating, this space of, am I connecting from a space of wholeness, or am I connecting from a space that's I'm going to be filled or fulfilled by my connection with them. And it's something I'm always tracking inside myself. I mean, I'm not in a primary partnership right now. I have lovers in the world. And I feel when I'm meeting them, I'm always trying to come from a space of wholeness, and coming from a space of wholeness, allowing the love to flow from that wholeness. And what I see happen often inside of like codependent or just relationships and partnerships, and I know this in myself, is that as the intertwined web gets deeper, the spaces for places that it's like the partners and I forget about the man and woman inside, and they're more, you know, worried and entrenched about trying to make the other partner happy. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's a very kind of dual environment in many ways, but the transition is coming to an area where wholeness can be the way in which engagement happens. Wholeness can be a way in which conversation happens. And this happens, it's the same thing if someone comes up to you and like you can feel underneath there's this like pulling, or there's this like hooking that's trying to happen. I just had a lover a few weeks ago who I was reconnecting with, and when we first connected, I could feel that. I could feel this part of her that was trying to be fulfilled by our connection. And I said, I don't want to connect when you're in that place, because it's only going to breed more dynamics in that way. And it's a challenging conversation to have, because you want to like love and cherish and be there for another. But the only way I could see it in her is because I could see that pattern a lot of times within me in the past.
Yeah.
And finding ways to really bring the light of awareness to that so that it can be cleared is challenging, yet so vital for that male consciousness that's not willing to admit the places that, you know, the needs actually are.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's really, you know, it's trying to fulfill the wound or sharing from our fullness. You know, you talk about the wholeness of the being, and when there's this underlying neediness that's really coming from those places where we're feeling empty and we're not full in ourselves, and then we try and fill that. And, you know, it's the old story of, you know, my half and your half, and together we make a whole, which creates this codependent space of like, without you, I'm not complete. And it really feels a lot of angst within the self, and, you know, the dependence on the relationship, because if they were then to go, then you wouldn't be complete anymore. So then you'd start doing whatever you can to just maintain your wholeness through your relating with them. And it's just like story, obviously, because, you know, and just coming into the diagrams of it, you know, the old relationship is, you know, you complete me, whereas the, you know, the tantric is the two circles that come together like that, and there's an overlap, but each is whole in itself, and really wanting to come more and more from that space. And I think a really big piece for me, and, you know, is just to be gentle with myself around that, right? Because if there is a place where I'm feeling needy and I feel that edge coming up, then recognizing that there is something that I'm needing to love in myself, not something that I'm needing to hate about myself. And that's often the way that I've been in the past, where, you know, I would see like shortcomings in myself through that kind of thing, where I was needing the external to fulfill me. And then I would start beating down on myself for needing other things, as opposed to just loving those parts that need that love. And that's a really big transition to have that gentleness with myself, and just be able to witness it from that place of, you know, detachment a little in the emotional aspect, and that emotional spin that can get really heavy, and coming more into a place of wanting to nurture myself through those places, and really go, okay, you're feeling this, you know, this is something that came up, and it's like, all right, I'm feeling that I'm wanting some touch. So this morning I just touched myself. I was in my tent, and I just, you know, took the time to just give myself the touch that I was wanting. And, you know, it's not about then just masturbating and ejaculating and all of that. You know, it was really just about wanting my touch, and just holding myself for a while, and just telling myself that I love myself, and that I have got a lot within me, and I do want a lot, and that's okay. But not to then get to the place where I feel that I have got lack, because then that shows up everywhere around me. That if I'm feeling lack in one place, then the lack just starts showing up everywhere, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, and I feel like a big piece with the is in what you can kind of call like the death of the dream, the death of the romance. And I still see it. It's like so much. It's still in the movies. It's the romance of I found the one. She's the one that completes me. He's the one that completes me. And we hold hands and we walk down the beach and everything is perfect from then on. And it's not to say that that life can't have beautiful partnerships and connections, but the conditioned reality that builds that fantasy in many ways creates such a conditioned world that, and I've seen this it's like breaking that conditioning so that I can actually be inside of love. Like the woman I was mentioning earlier, when we reconnected and she was having those hooks, I said, when we can connect and love can just flow there without like the space of you wanting this or wanting that, then there's actually more spaciousness that's alive inside of the connection. But getting clear, it sometimes takes a very penetrative way of saying, you're not like, I see the hooks in there, wanting marriage or wanting this. And again, none of those things are bad, but when there's agenda behind the connection, and whether that agenda is coming from the feminine or the masculine inside of the man or woman, it has to be brought to the light of awareness. It has to come to awareness, because if not, it's just going to play itself out in a lot of areas that makes relating very sticky. And, the male mind of this needy part never wants to admit that there's neediness there. It's like in complete denial. Like the woman, in both the man and the woman is willing to say, yeah, I just want a hug. And like there's times where like having touch and connection is beautiful. And I love what you're sharing about like, soothing and finding that connection within yourself. And it's beautiful. It's such a great representation of that inner marriage. But the male part that seeks connection loves a connection when it's there, but then is in like, no, I'm fine. Like everything's good. I don't need anything, and then it's just in this deep denial and yet is like dying inside because it's not willing to find the space of vulnerability.
Yeah.
That vulnerability of saying, wow, like I'm wanting and needing this connection in here, and having the strength to ask for it, and having the strength to ask for it, whether in a male body, female body, whatever it may be. But there's such like vulnerability and joy to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I think, especially, and I'm just going to speak stereotypically about man now, that there is a lot of difficulty in being vulnerable. We've talked about this, and this is one of the main things that I experienced in the workshop that we did together in the Czech Republic, is the ability to be vulnerable so deeply with other men. And it's just not the norm. I was talking with some guys today at the cafe, and just there is a natural archetype within the man that if you show vulnerability and weakness, that in so much of the world that there is this alpha dynamic going on, and if you show vulnerability, it's an opportunity to step into a power over dynamic. And we really need to find the confidence within ourselves and within our brothers to be able to move past that, so that we can allow our true feelings to be expressed, and our vulnerability to be expressed, so that we can really come to a place of witnessing. Because without that awareness, we don't have the ability to say, okay, I'm wanting touch right now, whatever that can look like, whether I give that to myself or I open to the universe to say, give that to me. And I was swimming out here the other day, and there were seals in the water, and already I just felt like a connection with some other being that just felt so rich. So it's not just about wanting sex and needing that, but that often is the way that our neediness kind of plays out of like, okay, I need connection, so connection looks like sex, so I'm just going to find someone and fuck them, and then I'm going to be better. And it's just moving past this archetypal stereotype and moving into a place where, you know, we can not be in that reactive place and just go, okay, this is my truth right now. I actually really want more of this in my world. And it's the same as saying I want more calmness in my world, or I want more sunlight in my world, or I want more fresh air in my world. You know, all of these things are okay to want, and it's about witnessing it and then just allowing yourself to make the choices that really pull you into that environment more, and being in a place where you allow it to happen and not kind of chase after it. And, you know, there's that's great analogy of, you know, a man will get locked into a room forever, like with a door, as long as he believes that he has to push through it when the door pulls open, right? And if we keep pushing and pushing, but we just open the door and allow the universe to come to us, then we never know what's going to show up. And that's where some ease can come in, and we can actually just relax into saying to the universe, this is what I want. You know, this is really my truth. I want more of this in my world, and then not have any attachment to what that needs to look like, and allow it to come from wherever it may come. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and what comes to me as you share that, it's that there's this part of the male psyche that calculates every single move, and it's like moving in the space of, if I do this, this, and that, then this is going to be the outcome. And I was just speaking this morning with EJ, who I was doing a live with, and we were talking about that, like willingness to completely surrender and let go that desire of what the outcome can be. Because I think usually the subtle layers of neediness are built into that established psyche that's trying to clarify and trying to bring reason, structure, understanding into every single moment.
Yeah.
And there's great places for structure, like there's great places for that structure, but especially in the spaces of relating and surrendering and allowing, like you could say, more femininity or more flow or more grace to happen. It's a willingness to let that neediness die, and really what stemmed this conversation and this wanting to share was having those, you know, two dear brothers like going through similar journey and not really owning the neediness that was there inside of their relating, saying, oh, it wasn't, you know, it's not me. It's like I'm holding, they're holding back, but the neediness has to be seen by the mind and balanced, equilibrated, whatever it may be, so that the heart actually has a chance to express itself into the relating, into the situation.
Yeah.
Because if not, the pendulum swinging of the mind and the clarifying is always gonna be there.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a process.
Yeah, it is. And I think maybe just because I'm right by the ocean now, and what you were talking about, the masculine wanting to have control is a word that really comes up for me in what you were describing around the structure and you know, if I do this and this and this and all the calculated aspects of it. And it's okay to not be next to the ocean and have this feeling of I want to be near the ocean and look at the compass or the map and go, which direction is the ocean? And not just go, I'm going to go this way and the ocean needs to be there. You know, it's okay to just go, all right, the ocean is this way. Maybe I walk this way, but not have any and the ocean needs to be this color and the waves need to be this size. And, you know, like this is where some of it's great, you know, have that quintessence of what you want it to be, and then just be receptive to the universe creating what it does. Because, you know, and I'm sure I've said this already in some of our chats, but God, the universe has a way better imagination than I do. It really does. And if I just leave it to the universe to make it as beautiful as it can be, then I'm always going to be astounded by it. And it's showed itself over and over. So, yeah, it's...
You know, one of the things that comes to mind, I'm here in New Zealand and Bruce's island, who leading us there in Prague. We were talking today about, you know, and watching retreats and workshops and things, Phil, it's often the men I find that have all the questions, that have all like the, oh, what's going to happen there, and and it's like there's this deep like neediness for all the answers to be there. And I've seen that happen, you know, even within myself. So it takes like, whereas there's this part of the feminine essence that just kind of can surrender to form, shape around anything.
Yeah.
And that masculine structure knows like the pillar, you could say the pillar of precision, the pillar. So it wants to sort of know the directed space of what's going to happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And it's like, well, that's where the mystery exists. You know, this is the structure.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, you know, I think a good lead into in terms of what we're doing in Perth. It's like the structure of this is deep initiation for men. It's deep initiation into parts inside of them that most men have never navigated before. And I've had a lot of men, well, what are we doing? What's going to happen? Like, I need to know more details. And it's like, I know you think you need to know that, but if there's just a part of your soul, part of your being that's like, I think I'm being called here, that's the part to listen to. All of the other things of trying to figure out what I'm going to get, what are the outcomes, is like, let all of that die. It's like that part of the neediness, that let it die. And it's challenging because the masculine mind wants to know the answers. It wants to know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But that's just as much of the fun as when we don't know and the mystery unfolds into more love.
Without a doubt, you know, that's great. And I think there's also a piece of, you know, the ego knows when there's deep work going on that there are parts of it that are going to be let go of, and it doesn't want that. And if it can find out everything that's happening, there'll be one thing there that goes, see, I'm not going to do it because of that. I really, you know, if that was in there, then I'm not going to do it. And it's just like trying to find the reasons why not to do it and to justify that. But it really is. And I'm sure that you do this as much as I do. And it's just like, okay, I don't even know why, but I know that I need to go in this direction. And the beauty that happens when you just trust that and you just feel the universe pulling you into that aspect, and you just go, okay, I surrender this body into this experience because it feels right, you know, and then seeing what happens. And it will be an experience there. I mean, it was a deep journey that we both went on in this, and it's going to be the same again in December. So there is going to be stuff that's going to come up, and it always will. You will feel the turbulence. If you're feeling called to this, there will be turbulence inside of you going, I don't know, who the fuck are these guys? You know, what is this work? And it's just recognizing that, you know, there are gifts in this work, and it's not because of you or me. It's because of, you know, a discussion around humanity is rising. It's not just the feminine that's rising. Humanity is rising right now to a whole new frequency, which means that we don't operate like we did. But how do we do that? And we do that by being in a group of other people that are wanting to step into that new vibration more, so that we can coagulate that a little bit. You know, a group of us get together at a new vibration, and we bring that, and we create a little node of, okay, this is a solid group of this new energy, and I can rest into this new vibration a little bit more because I know I'm not alone. And that helps. It really, really helps.
Yeah, and there's something really to that, and I think we'll kind of end on that note. It's like having a space to wake up into the divine potential of the soul, but then also having community and people and places that you can continue to live in that vibration with. And that's one of the things I love with any of these groups and retreats, is like playing into the dynamic of what's possible in a week, and then keeping connections, and then beginning to birth that back out into the world. And that's really where change begins to happen. So
really, and I think that's a unique thing that we have with Perth as well, because it is such an isolated place where, for example, the workshop that we went to in Europe, there were people from all over the world there. And we know that the workshop in Perth is going to be focused a lot from guys that are in Perth and around Perth, and some are going to be flying in for it. But there's that place of, there's a real opportunity to build a community of brothers in this location, and have that support network in a physical space. And it's a real benefit to be able to hang out with these brothers again afterwards. It really is. So,
yeah,
you know, the invitation is there.
Absolutely. Well, Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Aaron.
It's been a pleasure. And yeah, if you have any questions about this conversation, send us a message. I'll put the link to our event coming up in Perth. And yeah, excited to bring this into fruition and bring some magic out into the magical world of Perth. So thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you very much. And if anyone's got any other things that
Yeah.
they feel needy about, drop it in the line, because it would be really interesting to see what different people find needy inside themselves. It'd be juicy. All right.
For sure.
Big love.
See
See
you.
you.